Hey friends, it's Tony with Linda Craft and Team Realtors. I hope you're doing well today. We are going to discuss in my Work with a Pro series today, what does it mean when someone says the market is shifting or rebalancing? Like, what does that truly mean in the residential real estate world? So let me go over a couple concepts with you. Real estate obviously can be analyzed on a very technical basis or on a more simplistic basis. And thinking about it in the most simplest format, real estate is based on supply and demand. So the values associated with homes go up when there's more demand than supply, and the value of homes will begin to level off, or the rate of growth will level off, or possibly even go down if the supply outstrips the demand. So let's talk about the market and a shifting market, because you're hearing an awful lot about recession. What does that R word mean, and how is that R word going to impact home values? So I'll give it on an overview basis for you and kind of talk about it. But a really important factor to keep into consideration is that there have been 6 recessions over the recent period since 1980. And when you look at that recessionary periods, only one of those had a significant decline in home values. 4 of the 6 actually had a growth in home values. The one that most people remember, unfortunately, was a housing finance driven recession. And that was in 2008, lasted until 2010. A lot of people didn't feel the recovery in residential until 11 or 12. So that was anywhere from a 4-year to 2-year cycle experience for a lot of homeowners or home buyers or home sellers. And that obviously was a very difficult time to be a home seller. In retrospect, it was a fantastic time to be a home buyer if you had the resources. Home values during that 2008 period actually point to point went down just under 20%. But when you look at the rest of, when you look at the rest of the recessionary periods, 1980, 1981, 1991, 2001, and actually 2020, the recessionary periods had nominal to no impact, and actually home values went up. So an important thing to keep in the back of your mind is if we go into a recession, typical accepted definition is 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. Does that mean my home's going to go down in value? Unlikely. Let's talk about a shifting market. And what happens in a shifting market is the demand supply quotient levels out. The number of buyers and the number of sellers become more into equilibrium. In the triangle market of North Carolina, we are still very much in a seller's market. But what a lot of folks don't understand or don't take into consideration is that ultimately buyers set the market. Buyers set pricing. A listing client, a listing agent like myself, can list a house at whatever number we want. That doesn't mean it's going to sell. Okay. So the first thing that's transpiring in our shifting market is we still have more buyers than properties to be purchased. But since interest rates have gone up pretty noticeably over the last 90 days, certainly over the last year, it's taken a little bit of time for buyers to acclimate to that growth. So if you look at where the 30-year interest rate is today, it's about 5.3% for an average borrower. When you go back a year ago, April, it was about 2.65%. So that's a noticeable growth in the interest rate and the cost of housing. So that has caused buyers to pause for a little bit, think through things a little bit, at the same time that sellers have become a little more anxious, and the seasonal aspect of most markets has returned from the pandemic periods. So we're back into some historic seasonal aspects. So what can you expect in a shifting market where it's not as insanely one-sided as it was in most of 2021? And markets are always changing. They were changing in 2021. Every day, every month, they were changing. They were changing primarily to the upside for sellers, which was costing buyers more to purchase those homes. In the Raleigh market, Wake County, as an example, the year-over-year pricing from April 2022 to April 2021 is up about $94,000. That's pretty significant growth in the median home price. Okay, that's about 27%. So what to expect in a shifting market that's rebalancing? The first thing to expect is a slower rate of sales. What do I mean by a slower rate of sales? Houses typically will stay on the market longer than they were in the go days of 2021. That does not mean there's anything wrong with the house, but days on market should grow. That's actually healthy and normal, okay? It's arguably not healthy for houses to sell sight unseen at significant multiples above list price when they were listed at a fair price. So that's the first thing to expect. The other thing to expect is for buyers to be more patient. So if you're a seller, you have to understand that it may take longer, and buyers are going to be a little bit more deliberative in their thought process, and it may take a little longer. So we just need to put back on our patience hat a little bit. The sales cycle will also be a little bit longer. So in North Carolina, in our market, a typical sale is going to be 30 to 45 days from contract acceptance to closing. That, excuse me, should not change necessarily, but the duration between those. So right now, we're on pace year to date to have about 53,000 homes sold this year. We're selling roughly 145 homes a day as far as closed homes in the Triangle MLS. By comparison, in 2021, we sold over 60,000 homes. So we're selling about 100, or I should say closing about 165 homes a day. So that differential is about a 12% differential. Still a very healthy market. Okay. And then the last thing you should expect, or what I really should say is not expect, is price declines. We're not seeing value declines. Now, there's a difference between homes selling at or close to list price versus values being adversely impacted by market conditions. I fully expect, and my buyers expect, and my listing clients expect that as the market has run up dramatically in the last 18 months, that rate of growth in home prices, that rate of appreciation had to level off. As mentioned before, if you look at median home price, it was up about 26%. If you look at average home price, it was up over 30%. Those are not ratios that are sustainable in a healthy market. Does not mean that pricing is elevated or unrealistic in today's market. But you will start to see a higher percentage on a comparative basis year over year of homes that sell at or below list price. For April, as example, the average home sold at about 104%. Okay, so we're seeing some compression in that. That's understandable because if you go back and look at 2021, homes ramped in value almost every month, and they ramped at pretty high percentages. If you look at where we are in the Wake County market year to date through April, the median home price in April was $454,000. The median home price in January was $410,000. That's what, $44,000? That's real money. That's significant price growth. So let's go back over that. In a shifting market, does it make sense to buy homes? Absolutely. In a shifting market, does it make sense to sell homes? Absolutely. What should you expect as a buyer? You should expect more opportunities, more homes to look at, and some more time to think about homes. What should you expect as a seller? As a seller, you should expect maybe fewer offers, maybe fewer showings, maybe a longer duration of showings. When you look at home affordability with an interest rate of 5.3%, it sounds expensive. But when you compare it to historical numbers, it's not that high. And if you think about it on a income basis, if you were to purchase a 365, well, let's say if you purchased a home and borrowed $350,000, at current interest rates, your mortgage payment's around $1,928. Is that expensive? I don't know. It all depends on your budget and your income. When I look at it comparatively, it's certainly more expensive than a year ago, April, when it would have been about $1,500. But that question is, can you find a way to save $400, $450 a month elsewhere, or can you afford to spend that? So the last thing I'll end with is why I still think it's a good time to be a home buyer. It's also a good time to be a home seller. Is if we have reverted back to more normalized market dynamics in the triangle. If you look at 2014 through 2019, the median home price went up 6.3% every year. Right now, your borrowing costs are below 6.3%. When you look at financial analytics, that would imply to you that borrowing money to purchase a home versus renting, if you have stability in your lifestyle, you have stability in your job, and you have underwritable income, that is the best way to create wealth for you and your family, is through home ownership. Your appreciation rate exceeds your borrowing costs. Hey guys, I know that's a lot of technical information. If you would like to discuss it or have a private consultation, please think Fink at Linda Crafton Team. Give me a call. My number is 919-986-4146. I do plenty of consultations for folks. There is no charge for a consultation. I will readily share my experience and give you a professional, independent perspective on your situation. If you are a seller, what I always advise sellers to consider is, why are you thinking about selling? Is something changing in your lifestyle in the next 1 to 3 years? Is something changing in your income profile in the next 1 to 3 years? Is the home not perfect for you? Are you fearful about something going on professionally or privately? Those are all good, rational reasons to take advantage of the market, which is still a seller's market. Real estate is a fantastic asset class to have. Owning a home and creating memories in your home is a fantastic opportunity as an individual. But when life switches on you, a house quickly becomes a liability as opposed to an asset or a benefit. So that is why my guidance has always been is if you think you're going to be selling in the next 1 to 3 years, you should really consider getting it sold sooner rather than later. It just gives you what's called optionality and removes one additional thing to consider. You can always rent. However, if your profile is such that you're going to be in the area, if you know you like your employment, if you have a good sense on your income profile, if you have a good sense of what your life is like today and what you want your life to be like in the next 5 years, now is a fantastic time to be a homeowner. So thank you again. If you have any questions, reach out to me. And when it's real estate, always think Fink at Linda Crafton Team. Have a great day and thank you for watching.